Our next speaker is Gilles Gravier from Oracle, and he will talk. He's currently he currently has the position in Oracle of Global Government Industry Solutions Architect, and he is driving Oracle open source strategy specifically for the public sector. He has been with Sun for 15 years, and of course he has also informed me that these 15 years count in Oracle as well. All his pension rights have been transferred. And he is also responsible for driving the relationships between the various European, Middle East, and African open source communities and Sun Microsystems. He will talk to us about Oracle and Java. Gilles.
Okay. Maybe this microphone will work at some point. Or should I use the other one? The light's on. What about this one? Oh, okay, it works. Good. So I was thinking about a joke about soccer, and then I realized that since I'm French anyway, that's pretty much enough of a joke about soccer these days. So our team has not been that productive. So I'm going to talk to you about Java. There's been a lot of questions asked about Java and actually quite a bunch of Sun's technologies and what will happen to them after the acquisition by Oracle. The good news is Oracle and Sun are complementary, so most of these things are staying at Oracle, and they're not only staying, they're actually growing. So if I were to catch up on the timing of this conference and get everybody back on time, I would do my presentation by saying Java is here to stay and grow. Thank you very much. Questions? So I will still give you some details on that statement in order to give it a little bit more substance and explain what I mean by that. First of all, this is now that I'm at Oracle, I have to have one of these slides, so I won't read it. You can read it. It basically says anything I can say here could change. So the strategy at Oracle, I have to say now our strategy, is basically to have a complete integrated stack from all the way from the electrons on or the photons on your storage to the logic of your application, the way it's running in your data center, or somebody else's data center, since we sell resources on people's clouds. Java fits in this whole stack really at the middleware level in several ways. First of all, because Oracle's middleware is written in Java anyway, which is enough of a reason for Oracle to keep Java striving for as long as Oracle exists, hopefully. But more importantly, we use Java everywhere. We use not only in our own applications, but just on every kind of device you will run our stuff and everybody else's stuff. Just a few elements of context that will explain why we're doing all of this. Java is the most commonly used programming language in the world. I'll let you read the numbers up there, but as you can see, it's pretty high up in there, and the margin for any single language is significant. So given that it's used by the biggest number of developers, it's actually probably used on most platforms. So if you look, it's the leading deployment language in the world, and it's probably from an Oracle perspective the single most important technology that they've acquired. Hardware is hardware. Any CPU nowadays, especially with virtualization and things like Java, CPUs are irrelevant. They do things nicer, others less. But Java is the most important technology Oracle has acquired, and they're going to make it grow significantly. So most of you, I suspect, know that it's on just about every desktop, laptop, phone, except Apple's. Every phone in the world, every real phone in the world, I will say. Media players are cool, right? Okay, so it's on just about every device you can imagine on the planet, and I don't have Apple. It's also not only on the phone, but if you look inside your phone, it's on the SIM card in just about any phone, probably all of the phones you may have here, unless you come from some really strange legacy operator that has forgotten to upgrade your card. But should you ask for a new card, it will be running Java anyway on the card. And if you're into multimedia and you like watching high-definition movies, well, the moment you boot up a Blu-ray disc, it starts by loading a Java program in the Blu-ray player, and that program is what is responsible for running the menu of the disk. So you could actually complain that it's what's responsible for the disk loading so slowly. But once it's loaded, it's actually pretty fast. So the nice thing, though, about this is that when a developer is writing an application for a Blu-ray disc player, they just write it using whatever they have on whatever machine they're running it on, and it works the same way once it's on the Blu-ray disc player. They're just the specifics of the GUI to adapt to. So if you look a little bit at Java and the actual spectrum of where we use it, find it, etc., you have here a listing of where everything sits. So at the basic, you have the Java language. This is the core. It's what basically defines the platform the way we know it. On top of that, you are going to have what actually runs this program, the programs written in this language, and that's called the virtual machine, the VM, we'll say. And depending on where you're going to be running your Java code, whether it's on the server, on a desktop, on a mobile platform, a TV, or a card, the VM takes on a different name, and it runs a subset or a superset of what the Java language is supposed to be. There's always a common base, so we know what it's like. The language is always the same. The superset and the subset is mostly a set of specific APIs. There's no reason on, wait, I was going to say there's no reason on cell phones to run 3D graphics, but actually this is changing nowadays. But when we started defining an API for cell phones, we really didn't need 3D. Nowadays, it has 3Ds. On the other hand, if you're running Java on a server, there's probably no significant need to address a SIM module of a SIM card. So subsets or supersets of the APIs define what platform you run it on. And then you have, so if you look at these APIs, Java SE is what we call the Java Standard Edition. That's what runs on the big things, desktops and servers. It has a superset called Java Enterprise Edition, Java EE, which is used to run server-side code. And then on the desktop, your application runs either just Java SE or an extension of it, which is called JavaFX. I'll talk a little bit into that. And this is something that was initiated by Sun sometime not too long before the acquisition, and there was a lot of questions around the future of JavaFX. And this has been addressed now, so JavaFX is here to stay as well. On the cell phones, the Java VM runs a subset called Java ME, Micro Edition, and then on the TVs, Java TV, and a Java card. It's a really, really small subset because you can't fit much on a Java card, so you don't fit the full multi-megabyte virtual machine. So you have a very small subset of the language that's implemented on the card. The good thing is the basics, like the security mechanisms, are present all through the range. A little bit of history between Oracle and Java. So on top of this side, you have the different milestones in Java. As you can see, we've reached about 15 years of existence of, do I count well? Yeah, 15 years of existence of Java. And in these 15 years, the language has significantly evolved, but the tools around it as well, the developer toolkits, the server-side application toolkits have evolved. Java EE has, usually what happens is with the Enterprise Edition version, it follows in terms of number versions more or less where we are with the Java SE. And Oracle on its side has contributed to that world ever since the beginning. So historically, Oracle was one of the big contributors to the Java platform. Now Oracle drives the Java platform. Its contribution is just getting a little bit bigger into it. Early on in this year, so after the announcement of the acquisition, after after the acquisition, basically our CEO now basically said this: Java is going to grow. There's a few other Sun technologies that will grow, MySQL, Solaris, etc. But in this case, Java definitely is. And so the next part of my, my presentation will actually be about the strategy we're putting into all of this. So after the few context, let's look a bit at the strategy. In 4 points, you would say, first, it's make sure that the developer base grows. We already have the biggest developer base on the planet. We're not happy with that. We want even more. Obviously, we want everywhere to have Java running because it makes things simpler for everybody, right? Once you have a common platform for cross-platform code development, it helps everybody. So we want to grow the adoption of it, not only in the developer space, but as well in the user space. Increase the competitiveness of the Java platform. I don't know if some of you remember the old time where people were saying Java is slow. Who remembers Java is slow? Okay, now you forget all of that. There are 3D high-performance games written in Java, network applications. The most popular peer-to-peer file-sharing application, which tends to try to do network operations as fast as possible, is called Vue, and it's written in Java. There's a reason for that. It's portable, and it's fast. And adapt to change. Adapt to change means that when new technologies are required, well, these new technologies get put into the Java platform. In particular, things like JavaFX. They're really there because the world has changed in terms of how we want our interaction with our applications, and just boring things with menus as well. It's boring. So JavaFX comes into play and brings the dynamicity of a user interface that everybody wants. So basically, and this is how I'm going to roughly structure the rest of these slides, we'll look at 3 aspects of the evolutions of Java: on the technology side, on the platform side, and on the community side. Some of the keys that you will see as a common denominator to what I show you here, I hope it's a common denominator or else I missed something. Modularity, I'll be talking about modularity in several parts of this presentation. Extensibility, capability to add stuff to the platform, either as defining the platform or when you're a developer in terms of adding your own extensions to it for your needs. Flexibility, innovation, relevance, make sure that what we do stays useful for the rest of the world and not just for us, or else there's not going to be much interest for it. And of course, the passion, the fun, writing a platform that's the most popular platform on the planet has a lot of stress attached to it, but when it works well, it's very rewarding. And make sure that we keep very much in sync with the community around Java. So, first of all, we're going to try. We're going to continue investing in the platform across just about the widest possible range of servers and devices. We are not going to forget phones. We're not going to forget TVs. We're going to keep developing Java. If you remember the slide with all the red lines, we're going to keep developing Java on things that go from small smart cards to big data centers, and we're going to keep covering that whole range. It's critical for us. It lets people write applications and be sure that their investment remains valid just about any context they can imagine. Keep working on innovating on the platform. That's including JavaFX, slides to come, and of course make sure we continue supporting the developer community. Without the developers, a programming language is basically nothing except an interesting history book. So first of all, the basic, or the basis of Java, which is Java Standard Edition. So as I said, this is what you run on a machine in general. What runs on machine is Java Standard Edition, and then in some cases you can run something smaller or you run extensions. So first of all, we're going to modularize it. So it's a big chunk of download, and it's made of components. But today, the way you actually use it is by downloading one big chunk of Java to SE. And that's big. So the point, and that's big because you have to load all of that in memory. So we're going to optimize this by modularizing it and being able to, well, download stuff as you need, load in memory as you need. We're going to work on development tools. I'll have a little bit about that later on. The interesting thing about a Java virtual machine is it actually interprets bytecode. So by default, the bytecode people write in, the bytecode comes from the compilation of Java source code, but you can actually compile other things into Java bytecode and run it in with the security of the virtual machine of Java 2 SE. So we're working on that as well. So basically interpreters or compilers for other languages, scripting languages like JRuby, for example. I've seen people actually compile COBOL into Java bytecode and then run that on a VM. How's that for having a language that's, what, 40 years old? On the most up-to-date technology on the planet. Increase the performance even more. As I said, it's already, there's no such thing as fast enough, right? Everybody wants their machine to run faster, but it's already very, very fast. And it competes head-on in performance in many cases with just normal compiled languages like C or C++. But we're still going to go faster. We're going to support things like multi-threading inside the processor. One thing that's going to happen, Oracle is very well known for, once they acquire a company, for integrating things. So Oracle has their own high-performance Java VM, which is called JRocket. Sun has Hotspot, which is our own very high-performance Java VM. And each of these Java VMs has interesting things into them. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to converge the features of these VMs to get something that has all of these fancy characteristics, which I'm not going to detail for the sake of time. But the result will be an extremely high-performance JVM, which will have the best of both worlds. And of course, I think that's important for just about everybody here. We're going to continue supporting all of the leading OS platforms. So we're not going to be dropping things because we're now at Oracle. We are going to be supporting all of the usual platforms for Java that you've come to run it on. In terms of JavaFX, well, for those of you who do not know JavaFX already, the idea is to have very fancy components for developing modern user interfaces and making it easy to write applications that, well, look modern instead of just look like old X-Window stuff. It's portable across devices. It basically relies on the Java VM. So you have Java, you can run JavaFX. You download the latest Java VM, it works. And it'll support things like desktop, mobiles, TVs, and just about any other kind of form factor you imagine. The only place where you don't really have JavaFX is on a SIM card because it doesn't have that much of a UI, and on the server because you usually develop server-side components and the UI is somewhere else. Talking about servers, Java Enterprise Edition is going to continue to evolve. Again, here, modularity is the word. And modularity, just like with the high-performance VM, Oracle has WebLogic, their application server, and the Sun Java 2 EE application server is called Glassfish. And basically, these two products are originally very distinct, though the beauty of a standard is that they run the same kind of code. So you write an application component in Java EE, you drop it on one or you drop it on the other, and it works. The nice thing is Glassfish is very modular, and the modularity aspects of Glassfish are going to migrate into WebLogic. But the good thing is that we're going to keep the two application servers. Glassfish is the open source reference implementation for Java 2 EE. It's going to remain the reference implementation for Java EE and stay open source. You'll still be able to download it. You'll still be able to do whatever you want with it, deploy it, run it, whatever. Break it if you want. Just don't come to us if you break it. And WebLogic will remain, and both will inherit the features of the other where it makes sense. So the things we're going to continue doing in terms of development, as I said, sharing a module with WebLogic, in particular the other way around, moving modules to WebLogic for the modularity of the WebLogic application server, which is a little bit lacking in that term. So that's the general idea is make it faster to run, faster to download, minimal footprint possibilities, so you don't always want to have the full-fledged stuff installed. Sometimes you just need the bare bones architecture to run minimal type of services on a small machine. Modularity here helps. Oracle doesn't really like giving away roadmaps, but here I'm going to make more or less a little bit of an exception. The roadmap for Glassfish in particular, we have a 100-day version. So 100-day means it's been 100 days at Oracle. And what we've done is we've integrated it more or less into the Oracle stack. So that's what's going to come out very soon now. After that, we're going to see evolutions of Glassfish. So in the second half of 2010, quality of service, multi-instances, coherence between the instances, etc. And in 2001, we're going towards virtualization, support for Java 2EE version 7, which is going to be the next release. So today we have OpenJDK version 7, but Java 2EE is version 6. We've already started working on Java 2EE version 7, which is going to be early access in a few months. In terms of development support, well, of course, Oracle's JDeveloper tools. That's one way to look. NetBeans will remain open source, and is a fully written in Java and Java-focused development environment. And Eclipse. A lot of people have been wondering if Oracle was an open source company. They're actually one of the biggest contributors to the Eclipse project. So, of course, they're going to continue supporting the Eclipse project. There's no reason for that to change. So you still have, and those are like the major platforms. Of course, if you're Richard Stallman, you want to use Emacs, as was quoted a little earlier on. I don't know, I'm a VI guy. I can't figure out all of the control shifts outs in Emacs. But basically, Java is a programming language. There's a multitude of tools, and Oracle is going to keep investing in the ones it has been investing in before. About the community, another thing that's I think has been a little bit of a question mark here. We've Sun had a tradition of being probably the most community-oriented company in many aspects, and sometimes focus a little too much on the community. Oracle will keep focusing on the community, on the communities, and plural. We'll keep investing in the various groups, Java.net, the place where you download all of the Java technologies, OpenJDK, so all of you who actually don't want to run the Java VM that comes from Oracle but want to take the source code and compile it, that'll keep going on as well. Glassfish, Mobile Java, you name it, NetBeans. All of that, Oracle is going to continue contributing extensively to as time goes on. It's in our own interest, so there's no reason not to stop, not to continue. And I think that's the last element of my my short overview of what Oracle is going to do with Java today. Java 1, which is the major developer event for Java on the planet, it's easy, it's the only big one, anyway, is not only going to continue, but it's going to continue and it's going to be co-located with Oracle Open World. So Java 1 was big, 15,000 people. Oracle Open World is huge, 20,000, 25,000 last year, I think. And we're going to have both communities in there. And I have no idea how they're going to fit all of that in the Moscone Center in San Francisco, but it's going to be a riot, probably. The nice thing, though, is that not only will there be this big, huge conference in San Francisco, which is nice if you can travel to San Francisco and you don't mind the fog, but we're going to be running actually events, Java 1 events in other countries. So we're going to spread that around the world a little bit. So Brazil, obviously big and open source, Russia, India, China, are the first major candidates, and if you read those letters well and you remember what everybody's been talking around, these are the big developing countries. So we expect Java to actually drive a lot, or be driven, I don't know. If we're being a little confident here, we'll say Java will drive a lot of that development in terms of software developments and software use in those countries. So I wanted to make this short, and given that we were a bit short on time, we managed to catch up, what, 10 minutes?
Yes, thank you for your